We are live. And I did have a panic moment of, did I get the AM PM thing right this time? Just as I hit the button, I was like, oh, did I do it right?
Yes, you did.
I did. November for the
You did.
win. So my name is Tricia Broderick.
And I'm Diana Larsen.
And we co-wrote Lead Without Blame, Building Resilient Learning Teams. And we come together once a month to just continue to engage and kind of explore an additional topic or go a little bit deeper on a topic. Try and keeping it, under 20 minutes or so or less as we do this. And so do you want to share today's topic?
Today we are talking about power dynamics, right?
No, that's for the.
No, that's the other thing we're doing. Oh,
appreciate.
Okay.
Nobody look. Appreciate yourself.
Appreciating ourselves. Yes. Wow. That's a
we do a series. This is how we work our schedules. We do a series all together. Yeah. So you just got a glimpse into our world. That's all.
Yeah. That's happening another time. Yes, appreciating ourselves. And this is particularly important because as we get into the holidays, well, just for a whole bunch of reasons. There are a lot of people who are hurting right now because they are out of work, or the busyness of the holidays is looming, or any number of reasons that we can start being kind of hard on ourselves about how we're showing up and are we doing enough. And so, taking the time to say, I am enough, and appreciating the things that you bring, I think one of the really important things we can all do as professionals, I'm sorry, I'm starting to ramble on here, but is to learn who shows up when we show up. What is our impact when we show up, and knowing what the benefit is of that to ourselves and to others, and really appreciating what we bring when we show up in a situation. So appreciating ourselves for today. Yeah.
It's one of those things we've done other topics about just appreciation in general and tips to appreciate.
Yeah.
But this is when we were thinking about the topic for this go round, I immediately got a little bit like, no, not me. Like,
yeah,
like I don't want to focus on me. And it,
right.
it feels, especially when there does happen to be a ton on your shoulders, or the world feels like it's chaos. It feels almost like inappropriate to focus on yourself. It feels almost like you're like being selfish and whatnot. But there really is people will often refer to the put your mask on first before you can for others. And there really just is an element of just pure truth to that. But every time it makes me slightly uncomfortable, and I'm going to own that, put that out there, is like, I'm much better at appreciating other people than I am at appreciating myself. So these are going to be some of the tips that I have to do to challenge myself, but understand that I'm full of it and that I still challenge my business.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's hard. And particularly I feel it particularly in times like this, where there are so many challenges that people are facing that seem like they're so much bigger than anything I'm facing, and it is, I do have a tendency to, I think it's a common tendency, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me talking, but to say, I really should be taking care of them. I really should be focusing on them and not really learning about myself. Appreciating yourself is learning about your own strengths, being willing to show up with them. It is taking the time to say, I did this thing yesterday and I did it pretty well. And that I'm building my confidence in that area, or I'm building my my skill strength, whatever that skill might be in that area. And that's a good thing. And I appreciate that about myself, that I'm taking the time to do those things. That I think that's really important, because it is another aspect of self-knowledge, and particularly for people in leadership positions, knowing how you show up, what your impact is, where is it, what about it can you appreciate, both in taking care of yourself and taking care of others. So we talk about self-care a lot. I don't know if we've done that on this show. I think we probably have at least once.
I think so.
But that's kind of a common, make sure if you're stressed, you're getting self-care and stuff.
Rest,
but
right?
Yeah, get rest.
But appreciation is another level, right?
It's another level, right?
It is.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that I do is I can be so critical of myself. And so actually taking the time to be verbally out loud, right? Like somebody once told me I was in a really bad headspace, and they're like, just keep saying I'm sensational. I'm like, whatever, right? But I did it because I was like, I'm in such a low place. And the problem is, when you're in such a low place, it's easy to then keep seeing all the negatives, right? Like it's easy to keep seeing all the bad. Yeah. It's like, no, I can be sensational and not perfect. I can be sensational and still need to improve. Yeah. And it's reframing that dynamic of not pretending that everything's not okay. It's not pretending that you don't have things to learn and grow, but it's to honor and recognize the parts that's showing up, right? That is showing up, that is there, that is kind of powerful in that moment. And so by me, like, actually, because it doesn't work, like some people can write it down. I have to, it's just how my brain works. Maybe I have to say it out loud. I have to say it out loud. And the first time I say it, it's like, I'm sensational. But that's not really appreciated, right? Like, and so I
three times, at least three times. Yes.
And it was crazy, because I was not a big believer of this by any means. But the first time I did it, got a little bit better by the third time. And then, but the more times I did it, it was shocking what that third round actually did feel internally, right? That I could appreciate who I am and how I'm showing up and what it means, even if it's not perfect. And that gave me a boost of energy. It gave me a boost of confidence a little bit. It gave me a boost of calm, honestly, in terms of being able to handle what's coming forward next. So for me, appreciating myself, even if it's like talking at yourself, which is might not seem like I mean, I probably wouldn't do it in front of a bunch of people personally, but it's a thing that I have to do to really appreciate myself, as being vocal and out loud about it.
Right. Well, and if you're struggling with it, one technique is to be talking to somebody else, is to have somebody else say, what do you see in me? I mean, I had this experience this summer that is still sticking with me, where I was working with someone to help me see myself, help me see who shows up when I show up. And they were coaching me in a very similar way to who coached you to say I'm the sensational message, that people, when I show up, people see me as an authority, right? And so they had me saying, I am the authority in this area. And now I can say it with some. But I started out, and I'm the authority. Right. I started out like that, but they said, no, 3 times out loud, say it to me, to an audience, and recognize. And then, as I have talked to different people about that, they've said, well, yeah, of course, sure. Yeah, you're, this is how we think of you in this, in this particular space, right? And so over time, I've started to believe it a bit, right? Because I'm getting that. And then they are always shocked that I didn't realize it already. And like, I would be shocked that you don't already realize how sensational you are. right? But we need to appreciate those things about ourselves and actually do the work of diving in to find out what those things are. And sometimes that requires help from other people to give us a mirror and say,
So,
what is it you see, you know?
actually, that feeds right into my next tip of because when I was
Yeah,
thinking about what do I do, and sometimes we do so many things, especially as leaders, that is in service of other people all day long. You don't really realize, well, what
right,
did I win with, right? What am I
right,
appreciating myself with? And you're watching everybody else's and not
right.
really focusing on mine. And so one of the things that I will highlight to others that I've now started doing for myself is keeping a little like log, right? Like every little, not just a check mark. And I do love me my
Mhm.
check marks, but like, hey, here's a little win. Here's a little, like, hey, that felt like I
Yeah.
just observed a training the other day when I walked into a training, like somebody was like, oh my gosh, you're here, because she had attended Agile 2025 and she had a moment of like, I get to talk to you directly after your keynote. And I like that's, it was a wonderful like experience that I got to have and in a moment. And after a couple of them, and I'm using a real example from this week, but then I realized this kind of thing had happened 3 other times this week. And I think there was an ability for me to stop and then appreciate, like, I am having impact. It's not always visible. It's not
Right,
always right. Like, but I can appreciate that I'm making a difference. And when I started
right.
like making note of it and I could see the pattern of it a little bit, it's like, yeah, like, look at that. Like any one
Yeah,
seems like, okay, that's lovely. That's nice. But it seems like you're,
yeah.
overdoing it a little
Right,
bit. But as a collective, you're like, ah, right. But if
right,
I don't, not track it, but
right,
if I don't log some of that, I don't see the pattern, right? I don't
right,
feel the weight of it, to where then the
right.
appreciation feels a little less genuine or not at the
Yeah.
scale it should. And so that helps me.
Yeah. Well, and that there's a corollary to that, which means you are giving yourself feedback on, in this case, living your own values. I mean, appreciate the fact that you are showing up with integrity in a way that connects to people and that highlights your values and what you believe is important in the world. Right. And unless we take the time to notice that, we don't get the strength and the bravery and the permissions that we need to keep being authentic, to keep staying within our integrity. I mean, I think this is a huge piece of this. And I mean, maybe my values aren't the same as everybody else's values, and sometimes I have a harder time appreciating their values than others, but there are a lot of people who I do connect with them because I do see them living their authentic lives, living in their truth, being willing to communicate that, having the strength and the bravery and the courage to speak that. And for leaders, knowing what your personal values, what means integrity to you in the world, and then being able to reflect back to yourself. And I kept in my integrity here, and I kept in my integrity here, and
And I can
even though it was,
appreciate all of that because it was hard, right? Like
yeah,
that's
and
the
even when it's being challenged, I did it anyway. Those, yes, that's hugely important. And for, I think for some people, keeping a log is the best way to do that. For other people, it's having a coach or just an accountability partner, colleague that you can share those stories with and speak about it out loud, or reward yourself with, oh, today I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to listen to this music I really love, because that's my reward for living in my values and sticking with my integrity, showing up as an authentic human being that I want to be in the world. I think that's huge. I think that's really huge. And having a way of continuously reflecting it back to yourself. And so that's appreciating yourself, right? Showing yourself the appreciation that you have. Yeah.
And sometimes I do it with rewards and treat myself a
Yeah.
little. I'm gonna go get these grays. Got to go, people. I'm gonna go treat myself. Like these grays got to go. Like I'm gonna go. And now, granted, like it's crazy. It is a absurd, maybe a little thing of is like I was going to do that anyways, but there is an association. It's like I do make an association of like this is taking care of myself and I've earned it and I appreciate it. Like it's an appreciation for where I'm at and what I've done and with those things and the fact that they've really grown out is no reflection of how little I've appreciated myself. It's a timing thing. But
yeah.
I actually had to laugh the other day. The lighting was perfectly in here that I've got a little bit more of a strip right here. This is total side tangent, see people. This is to prove this is not scripted. And it was showing up on the green screen. So the green screen was I was like, yep, that means it's time, people. That means it's time.
When the green screen starts giving you highlights. Yes.
So let's end on that note for a second of what is one of your favorite ways to appreciate yourself, like in a reward kind of way, if you like to share.
Well, for me, it is part of my challenge is making sure that I am speaking my truth, sharing what I've learned in life and not just keeping it all to myself. So I get kind of a double bonus when I appreciate myself to another person. Like where I actually speak about, I did this thing and I really appreciate myself for doing that. I think it was a good thing. And so it's kind of a double thing. I get to appreciate myself and I get to actually practice because, at some level it still feels like hubris. It's still, there is still some little part of me that says, oh, you're not supposed to brag on yourself. You're not supposed to do that. But when I was in the 7th grade, my mother spent that whole year, I 13 or 14. She spent that entire year sending me, I think it was something she was going through in her life too. So I got a benefit from it. But of saying to me, if you don't toot your own horn, nobody's going to toot it for you. Right? And because she was appreciating me, she was saying, you do good things in the world and I want people to know about it. Right. And the only way they're going to know about it may be you telling them about it. Right. In one way or another. And I still struggled all the way through my teenage years, but man, has that lesson stuck with me.
Well, and it's got an extra benefit too of role modeling for other people and normalizing it, right?
Right.
And helping people to get over that struggle.
Yeah. So for me, part of it is giving myself permission to talk about the times I've done something well, the times I have had a new realization that's been beneficial to me and potentially to other people. That's one of the things that I've done and one of the things that I do. And I'm probably more on the extroverted scale than I am on the introverted scale, although I'm kind of right in the middle in many instances. But that exercises that extrovert in me. It gives me that chance to share things I've learned with other people, and to kind of see that reflected back to me is important. I can't do the same thing just by sitting in a corner and thinking to myself about it. That doesn't work for me. So,
Well, where can people find you coming up?
Well, next week I'm going to be at one of my favorite events in the year. And one of the few things that broke me out of my mold of never doing the same thing twice way back. I will be at the Consultants Retreat and Network in Pennsylvania with a group of colleagues where we will be reflecting on, how our practices are going and how we can support each other and that kind of thing. And so the first time I went, I was invited by Norm Kurth in 1997. And I've only missed a few years along the way. So it truly is something that I put on my calendar in a year in advance to make sure I'm holding it. So that's happening. But then I'm going to be in the first 2 weeks of December, I'm going to be in Europe. And the first week I'm going to be in Copenhagen or in Denmark, around there. And I will be available to meet with people, to, have conversations and so on. And my colleague, Alan Rinbo Jepson, is sort of managing my schedule for that week. So he's finding places for me to go and maybe places to give talks and things like that. So get in touch if you want to do that. And then the next week on December 11th, I am going to be part of the Reimagining Agile workshop that's going to take place in Hilversum in the Netherlands. And it's sponsored by the Agile Alliance, and there is room for 50 people to show up. It's free. And they're going to be a whole bunch of us that are part of a group called the Supporting Agile Adoption Initiative, who are going to be participating in leading that workshop. So that's the two things I've got most happening. Oh my God. And November 20th and 21st with Neil Taylor, we're doing our first in a very long time workshop on team liftoffs.
Oh, nice.
And it's our first time, so we've kept the price pretty low on it because it's a little bit of an experiment. So it's 2 half days, and if you go to teamliftoffs.com and look under workshop, you can get all the details about it. So I guess I'm busier over the next couple months than I thought I was going to.
I know. I'm going to be like, I have one public available virtual leading amazing teams in December available.
Yeah.
I mean, that work. It's just all private with those things.
Right.
So I will not be very publicly available, but there is one leading amazing teams course left virtually for the end of this year. And
great.
And that with it. So thank you. We'll be back December 19th for our next round. All the best.
Bye.